Hello and a warm welcome to you. I feel very compelled today, I have for a while actually, to discuss something about disposable paper cups that you may not be aware of. So I'm talking about the type of paper cups that you may get from a coffee shop or from the cabinet next to the Keurig machine at your workplace. I think many of us assume that these are safe and that they are designed to be resistant to hot water, but I will show you some evidence that I found that personally caused me to draw a pretty firm line against ever using these type of cups. So first, for a quick introduction, my name is Kelsey. I'm a physician associate practicing in dermatology, and I also have a background in environmental science. I really like delving into literature in environmental science and health-related topics to find pearls of wisdom to help live a healthier lifestyle. So if that's something you're interested in, then please subscribe to see future videos. So according to this paper and their citations, paper cups are 90 to 95% paper by weight, and the remaining 5 to 10% is a hydrophobic plastic film. Mostly this interior lining film is made of polyethylene, and also sometimes different copolymers are used. I think the study is pretty fun. So unused paper cups were found in a college campus. They hunted them down in the wild where they're actually being used, and they were found to be made by 5 different manufacturers, and the samples were labeled A, B, C, D, and E. And then the researchers evaluated for the degradation of the plastic film in the cups after exposure to hot water that was heated to 185 to 194 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the typical brewing temperature for coffee. The water was then allowed to sit for 15 minutes before being analyzed. The mixed water was analyzed for the presence of microplastics and also additional ions that may have leached from the paper into the water. Spoiler, the researchers observed that microplastics can clearly be found in the hot water from the paper cups, so you can stop watching at this point if you'd like and just stop using paper cups. A lipophilic fluorescent dye, Nile Red, was used that adsorbs onto the plastic surface and then fluoresces when irradiated with orange-red light. So the samples of water were dropped onto a slide, stained with Nile Red, and then allowed to dry, and then the slide was observed with fluorescence microscopy. And the particles, oh, there goes Metro North. I don't know if you could hear that. But the particles that were over 10 micrometers in size were able to be measured. The results of that are shown here. In this photo, you can see that 10 micrometers is marked to show the scale of the magnification, and so you can compare that 10 micrometers scale to the particles. Kind of neat. The particle size ranged from 25.9 micrometers to 764.8 micrometers. So 764 micrometers is about 0.7 millimeters. Just to give you a reference for this, the graphite on a mechanical pencil is usually about 0.5 millimeters. So some of the microplastic particles were larger than that. The smaller particles, however, may pose an even more deleterious health risk because of their higher likelihood of getting absorbed. The particles had a median size of 53.65 micrometers. Spectroscopy was also used to help elucidate what the cup linings were made out of. Samples A, B, D, and E were found most likely to be high-density polyethylene, which is a type of plastic. Sample C was found to likely be a copolymer of cellulose, which is plant-derived. Scanning electron microscopy was also used to see the changes in the interior surface of the cups before and after hot water exposure. The results of that are shown here. You can see all of the surface changes in the plastic, and it is kind of unsettling. Atomic force microscopy was also used to determine the surface roughness, texture, and waviness of the hydrophobic, hot water steeped plastic film. And you can clearly see the changes, showing that the hot water breaks this lining down. Finally, lead, nickel, chromium, copper, zinc, cadmium, and manganese were found in these linings as well. Since these linings are breaking down, these metals could be released into the water. The most concerning of these are lead and cadmium. In summary, the plastic lining in the paper cups may not truly be resistant to hot water. There was no particular brand in this study, and it is just one study, so it's not conclusive, but it certainly does invite us to be skeptical about the safety of these paper cups. So what alternatives do we have for to-go cups? Well, I have some really riveting, groundbreaking solutions here. So I think there are 2 primary use cases that I see for these cups, the to-go cups. The first is when you're at work, at the office, or wherever you work, and you want to get some coffee. So if this is somewhere where you're consistently working, then just leave a mug at work. That's my amazing solution. By the way, glass mugs are probably better because ceramic mugs actually can leach heavy metals once the glaze gets scratched. I'll tell you that for free. So the second use case is when we're out purchasing a coffee to go. So in this case that you're out and you want to stop for a coffee, I have two solutions. The first is to just get an iced coffee, because even though it's still served in a plastic cup, at least it is not getting heated, so you'd be less likely to consume any plastic this way. And if you want to get a hot beverage, I have another solution. There are these neat little things that you can find. This is called Stojo. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's a nice little neat cup that can fit in like a smallish handbag, and it just pops open, and the entire lining is silicone, which is nice because that's heat safe. And you can put on this lid, and the only thing I don't 100% love about it is that this lid is made of plastic, so I do wish that they would make one with a metal lid, because the hot water has to go through plastic, which I'm not super comfy with, but it is probably much safer than a paper cup. And alternatively, you could just use it as an open cup without the lid, and it's still a nice convenient little thing to be able to just produce a cup out of your small handbag. So I really enjoy this and I think it's pretty nice, so I will link it in the description. And then another thing that I wanted to share on the topic of plastic is water bottles. This water bottle, it's made of silicone, and it's a great alternative to a plastic water bottle, because, you know, plastic water bottles, I think most people are aware, there's literally plastic in the water. So if you want something that's lightweight and that you could carry in like mid-size-ish, like a mid-size handbag, this is a good solution. So it folds up once it's empty. So if you wanted something that you could keep in your bag and then just like take out and fill at a water fountain or something, and then when you're done, you could even fold it up and make it really small like this. It has this little wristlet thing, so this is a nice way to like keep it super compact. And it's called Take Today. So I'll link it in the description. I really like this. But one thing to be aware of about it, it has this little lock, and that's really important. I have accidentally had this unlocked. Is in my lap like while I was on the subway, and I accidentally like squeezed it or something, and I spilled water all over myself. So hopefully I will save somebody that same fate by bringing attention to this little lock thing. So I'll post the link to this in the description. I think it's awesome, and it's so lightweight. It's nice to take like hiking or anything like that. So that's all I have for you today. Just wanted to tell you about paper cups because I see this all the time. I see so many people using them. And once I read this study and saw these images, I was just so disturbed. So I don't know if it's all paper cups that have this. I don't mean to be a fear monger, but I think that it invites us to be skeptical at the very least. So tell everybody, tell your mom, maybe just it's better for the environment anyway. We should all just be using reusable receptacles like this. So that's all I've got for you. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.